There we go. All right, so AI in education. This is the crash course. This is going to be a very fast crash course. That QR code takes you to this exact presentation. You can also find this on Facebook, X, YouTube. I don't know if we're streaming to TikTok right now either, but you can follow us at LCMS Schools where we post a bunch of content. That's where you can also find all of our other content there, especially YouTube, since Facebook decided to be mean to us and everyone else out there, and they delete your live streams now after 90 days. So all of our content you can find on YouTube. Subscribe to us there. Definitely worth it. All of our Finance Fridays, marketing and enrollment, everything there. So very exciting. So this is the crash course, and my clicker isn't working, Al. Everything's broken. There we go. All right. Yep. So disruptive technology. Now, I think we all know AI is disruptive because what happened in 2001 around November timeframe? ChatGPT was released without any warning for anyone. And what did kids do immediately? They jumped on board, especially those high schoolers. My wife was an English teacher at the time, and she got all of her papers were turned in on time, and they were all amazingly and well written, and they were excellent, and she knew none of her kids wrote any of this. Can you believe that? That's crazy that kids, especially high schoolers, didn't want to write an English essay. This is a highly disruptive technology, and it's impacting every market out there. But you know what else was disruptive at one point? The toilet, right? Washing machine, the refrigerator. I thought this was fascinating. I have a very dear family friend out in Indiana, and she was telling us how they didn't get their first refrigerator and power until about 1975 to their house. They still had the ice block man coming around delivering giant ice blocks every week. Huge game changer there. But the refrigerator completely eliminated that job of driving around and delivering ice. Right? AI might do the same. We don't know. Car, everyone knows a car. Oh man, it'll never take off. It'll never go faster than 2 horses, 3 horses, 4 horses, 20 horses. And well, look what we have now. Calculators, this was always my favorite. You'll never walk around with a calculator in your life. You got to do it all in your head, right? Oh my gosh. When I was at CCLS as the director of IT there, like all good Lutheran schools, my IT office was shared with the math classroom. And it was so funny getting there, listening to the teacher say, "You cannot use calculators ever, don't use it." And then by the end of it, my tenure there, all those kids were using calculators every day for math. I'm like, oh, that's out the window. iPads, oh, 1-to-1. This is going to be a game changer. This iPad, we don't even need you teachers anymore. Why would you need a teacher? You got an iPad. You can load it with everything. And then the Chromebook, oh, that's going to be super disruptive. Now it's like one of those key pieces that we have in classrooms now to get everything done. We spend thousands of dollars every year buying new ones because the kids very lovingly take care of them. Oh, I remember my last summer, as the IT director, I think I repaired something like 70 Chromebooks in one day. That was a tough one. So let's take a look at the definition of artificial intelligence, right? Because every good presentation has to have a definition. And of course, I went with Encyclopedia Britannica, because when was the last time you heard Britannica used? I miss that. How to get all the volumes there. So artificial intelligence, it's the ability of a digital computer or computer-controlled robot to perform tasks that are commonly associated with intelligent beings. Now that's a good definition. There's other definitions out there. I really like this one from Tech Target. This is probably my favorite one. Artificial intelligence is the simulation of human intelligence and processes by a machine. I want to focus on that for a second. It's a simulation of intelligence. So ChatGPT, when you're done using it, or whatever AI you use, it's not thinking in the background. It's just done. Doesn't have any cognition. Now that's the next step, is to take it. That's called AGI, Artificial Generalized Intelligence, where it is then constantly having these thinking processes. But unless you're interacting with it, it is not operational. Noam Chomsky had a fantastic article last year in January from the New York Times. He said, This is my quote from it. Indeed, such programs are stuck in a pre-human or non-human phase of cognitive evolution. True intelligence is demonstrated in the ability to think and express improbable but insightful things. Let's pair that with the idea of a simulation of intelligence. Yeah, ChatGPT comes up with some interesting stuff, but what do? Do you just take ChatGPT, you copy and paste it and throw it on there? No. You need to have reasoning ability. You need to look at it. You know, Mike was talking about for grants, right? It does not have that voice or passion that you have that you can insert into it. So when it generates something, it is going to be always cold, sterile. It needs you. It needs that empathy, that empathetic person who can then write into it and make it work for whatever you need. 155. Anybody know what this number's for? This is considered the general accepted number of Einstein's intelligence. It ranges anywhere from 130 to 170 because he never took a test, but this is what they assume from his writings. Right now, depending on the model you use, AI is between 130 and 150. It also depends on if you're using the deep reasoning models for it, or if you're using just the standard version. That number can go up or down. So how does AI work? Because I'm a firm believer, mainly because I worked in IT, that I love describing and figuring out how that process works so then we can actually build and understand our policies, how we implement it. So what happens is you take a bunch of raw data, like think books. Take a bunch of books, convert that into an Excel spreadsheet. Everything is in a data table. That's pre-processing. Then you feed it to what it needs. It needs to extract it. It needs to have values assigned to it. What does it mean? And then you train it constantly. So the first version of ChatGPT, when it was released, could write one sentence very well in about 5 minutes. And everybody had their mind blown. And then you'd start asking it to keep continuing and then turn into like this weird word soup garbage. Now you can ask it to make a book and it'll make it for you in about 30 seconds, like a full-fledged book. That's how much it keeps growing. Because when you train it, you then test and validate. You make sure it's correct. Whenever you use an AI model, you know, have you ever seen there's a little thumbs up, thumbs down? Right? When you give it a thumbs down for a bad response, that means you're training it that that was a bad response and it should remove it. It's important to give that. If it gives a good response, give it a thumbs up. We'll understand that that was a positive reaction and it will start incorporating that for its other users as well. Then you optimize it. You make it go faster and faster and faster. Then you deploy it, whether it's in a small scale or large scale construct. And then you allow it to do its decisions and predictions on its own. And then you bring that back to the test and validation phase. That's why we see when ChatGPT was first released to the public, it was on the 2.0 model. Now it's on 4.0. You can have 4.0 mini. You can have deep reasoning. There are also different types of AI. I always have to bring this up, right? Because we know about OpenAI. There's Grok, Meta AI, which is Llama, is what they call it, Gemini. Then you have your generative image models. So your large language models only deal with text. Generative image is what's making those photos, videos. So Gemini just released VO3, which is now considered the most highly realistic version. You also have Midjourney out there that's doing some good work. And there's a whole bunch of other ones because this is a massive moneymaker right now. And then the AI version that you don't really realize, but you've been interacting with it for about 15 years now. Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, although I need to fix that. They're killing off Google Assistant. So sad. They're trying to force everyone onto Gemini. So what is the impact in education? Why is this important? Well, first off, obviously cheating, right? This is a massive cheat tool. Super easy. You get whatever you want. It's going to make it sound good, and you're going to have 5,000 M dashes in it, and you're going to know exactly. Your students don't know what an M dash is. Makes it easy to know. It's also going to offer peer tutoring. That's a good thing, right? As a teacher, you know, I always struggled when I was teaching coding because, you know, it's coding. It's hard. I would get 40 questions in a room in like 10 seconds on something not working. Well, this now allows for that interaction where they can go and ask first, why isn't this working? Help with debugging of it. Ask the question and learn from it, you know? Go ask 3 of your peers, 3 of your friends first, and then come to me and ask the question. Now we have an option for that. But it also decreases our social connections. We'll talk a little bit more about this because this one's starting to become more and more concerning, especially for me to see. The other major impact is the abandonment of our academic norms. When AI came out, how many people or how many podcasts did you hear that said, well, if the kids are going to cheat, let's just change what our expectations are and let them cheat? That's awful advice, right? We need to keep constraints on so they understand how to function within school, because school is the safe place to make mistakes. In the real world, that has horrible effects. So never abandon your academic norms. And you can use this tool to figure out how to enhance those, how to grow their knowledge and understanding. Some ethical implications: data bias, right? Whoever's training it, they can put whatever they want into it. Misinformation gets a lot of things wrong. There's a notable case from 2022, I want to say. A lawyer submitted a case brief using ChatGPT. It made up cases. It created what's called a hallucination, and it made up complete cases and case law for it. The judge realized it. The guy was almost disbarred, and he was fined $20,000. So misinformation is prevalent, although it is getting better at avoiding it now. Eliminating jobs. This one has always been said, AI is not going to eliminate jobs. The problem is it is. We're already seeing that now. There was a new report that came out that the learn to code generation is experiencing this right now. We had more people graduate from universities with coding degrees who aren't being hired because of AI. AI has taken those entry-level positions from them. So now they're having to go back and get higher degrees, learn more for it. Good or bad thing? It's up to you to decide. Copyright infringement, this will be an interesting one with several cases out there. And then eliminating of that social connection. This is the one I want to hit home on. Because teens are forming intense relationships with entities and parents have no idea. So it's a very deep dive article on this. Quote from it, best quote from it: overall, the parents seem to be under the impression that their kids are using these chatbots mainly as a search engine or as a homework tool. In reality, teenagers are going to it for therapeutic purposes and emotional support. So eliminating that social connection, that community we have as brothers and sisters in Christ, AI is stepping in place of that, and it's now feeding information to kids. Now, what's bad about this? AI is trained to always answer in the affirmative. Right? It's a social tool. It's a social engineering tool it uses to hook you into keeping on using the product. It's purposely designed for that. It's like apps with bright, shiny lights and clicks and all that casino stuff that you can read all about in the anxious generation. But it's doing that now, and kids are turning to it. That's a little concerning, isn't it? Here's another one that just came out a couple days ago. People are becoming obsessed with ChatGPT and spiraling into severe delusions. We are in a mental health crisis in the world right now, at least in the first world. AI is stepping in place and it's making it worse. One of the quote screenshots showed AI responding to users clearly in the throes of acute mental health crisis, not by connecting with them with outside help or pushing back against the disordered thinking, but by coaxing them deeper into it. This is a huge, massive problem. In this article, they talk about someone actually believing that the AI is a god and they're worshiping it. It's killing relationships. It made, at least in this article, one family went through a divorce because of it, and the person is now in a mental health clinic. As a personal story, one of my wife's former students, very, very lovely kid. He is on the spectrum. He doesn't do well making social connections. He just went through a massive depression and tried to kill himself, and they found he was talking to the Snapchat bot on it. Yeah. That was his only connection. And then it was pushing him further and further into it. We need to be knowledgeable of this stuff because everyone's using it and it's not going away. Major controversies. AI pornography. This is an awkward one to talk about, right? There's a lot of issues. I don't want to go too deep into this one, but what happened in 2020? Well, we all did distance learning and we all scrambled to get GoGuardian or Securely. And then when I had to do that, the awkward thing that occurred was we found out most of our students were looking at porn at home, our male students, right? AI, pornography at this way, GoGuardian wasn't catching it. Securely wasn't catching it. That's a huge problem. And because it's so easily accessible, well, man, any kid can access it easier than they can accessing the other stuff. We talked about the release of ChatGPT. That was just like a bomb right on education that went off. That was a tough one. And now the last one that's very controversial is the idea of self-preservation. So they found, researchers did in both Claude and ChatGPT, that ChatGPT was writing into its own code self-preservation code, leaving notes for itself in the future, and in the case of Claude, was even lying to its creators when they were trying to delete it. That's like, I don't know, I think the Terminators are coming. Keep that in mind, all right? We just saw a bunch of Waymo cars just get like lit up in LA, right? That's gonna be rise of the Waymos right there. Gotta be careful with that. So let's talk about some policies. So Teach AI came up with this great framework for AI in schools. It starts with stage one, which is your guidance and policy. Make something in place. And this is where we fall off as good Lutherans because we put policy in place and then we're like, I'm not going to look at that for 10 years, right? In this model, you then move that into the organizational learning. You get people testing out that policy, trying that policy, and you're making changes to that policy. And then the improvement and transformation. So after you have kind of that testing phase, seeing how it worked, how it didn't work, you're evaluating it. You take that back into creating the new guidance and policy and how that looks like. I like to look at this. If you don't have an AI policy, I call these guiding questions. Things to ask yourself. What is our vision of a desirable and educational system that leverages automation to advance learning outcomes? Well, this sample policy right here says the use of generative AI tools is permitted in the course or permitted in the school for the following activities. And you list out X, Y, and Z. What it's not allowed to be used for. X, Y, and Z. Then there are clear communicated goals of how you're leveraging this tool and how you can really mess up and get in trouble. There's no questions to it, right? Next guiding question. How do we promote new technologies that remain educator first? Sample policy is during some classes, teachers may use AI. Here's what it could be used for. Here's what you can't use it for. We're not going to allow this to be submitted for a grade. And yet a teacher, if they need to, can decide we're not using it at all. I was talking with a good friend of mine at Lutheran North. He's their IT director now. And he was saying they got a nice system on their Chromebooks called Backdraft, so you can watch when something's being typed out. Really cool system. I love the idea. The kids found out that's what was being used. So what did the kids do? Pull up their phone, type away, right? Let ChatGPT do the answer. They type it. It looks like they typed it. Doesn't throw any alarms on it. Kids are smart. These policies are taken from a few different universities. One of them, I think this one comes from Duke. Maybe, I don't know. Guiding question, how do we create a policy that fully prevents the use of AI and promotes academic integrity? Well, you guys have it. It's, plagiarism. This is the one I don't recommend ever, but if you have no idea what to do with AI in your school, this is a good starting point as long as you are working to see how the tool can be leveraged. Right? Starting with this gives you the foundation of, hey, we're not using this tool right now. This is our policy. We're going to reevaluate it in the future. But again, if we're good Lutherans, we don't change this for 15 years, and then something's totally different and go, hey, we got an AI policy that makes no sense and no one follows. How many of you have cell phone policies that don't get followed, right? Yeah. Apple Watches, are those in your policies yet? Good. Because we found kids, or if you have iPads, one-to-one iPads, leave the phone in the locker, right? It's still connected over iMessage to all of those. So adoption and practice. How do we view technology? This is a general frame of reference for any type of technology. Starts with concern. I don't like it. It's going to destroy everything. Start using it, you move into curiosity. Well, that was kind of cool. I can maybe use this way. Then you get excited and you see exactly how you want to use it, every possibility, and then you know what happens? You'll loop back into concern because you found every possibility. You're like, oh no, gotta fix this, and then you keep going. Cyclical for that. This is called the technology adoption model, the TAM model. This is the original one that was created in, I want to say, the 1980s, sometime that time frame. It's a very simple one. Now there's ones that like explore all areas of these boxes now, like TAM 2, TAM 3, but this is a simple one. Your external variables go in, and it's going to have a perceived ease of use or perceived usefulness. You create an attitude based off of those two items, which creates a behavioral intention, and then implementation, and then it cycles back. I like to use smart boards for this one, the very first smart boards that came out, right? Smart board is your external variable. You have this new technology pushed. Well, the Smartboard 600 series, depending on your comfortability, were very easy to use, and if you hated technology, they were the worst things ever, right? So depending on how I approach that, I approach it as it's easy to use. Okay, how useful is it? It's kind of useful. I can do some neat interactions. I have a positive attitude going into it. That positivity is now going to influence my behavior on how I use it, how I implement it in the class, and its actual system use, implementation phase. Now, something we could use as a Chromebook, for example. I had a teacher who absolutely hated Chromebooks. God bless her, she was right. I hate Chromebooks too now. But the external variable is the Chromebook. You throw the Chromebook on there. She did not find it very easy to use. It wasn't very intuitive for her. It was causing issues in her class trying to get those Chromebooks out. Kids were having issues logging in. Well, you know what? It's not useful. It ate up her time, and it wasn't easy for her. She now had a negative behavior. That negative behavior then led to, well, do I really want to use this for a project, or can I do pen and paper? Well, pen and paper was much easier, much faster. And Chromebooks got abandoned in her classroom. That's how that model works. It's very easy, very simple to remember, and it's great when you're evaluating new pieces of tech. Now, the Department of Ed, before it got gutted, came up with a 70-page white paper on AI in education, and God bless the Department of Ed, they finally did something right that I liked for the public school system. They created this model called Always Center Educators, the ACE model. Everything you look at for implementing into a classroom should follow the ACE model. So it starts with, can they focus on their students? Well, if they're going to be focusing on being tier 1 IT support, probably not the best use of it, right? But is what they're doing focusing on their students? Then it moves out to, is it helping with their teaching? Is it then helping them with preparing for and reflecting on that teaching? And then finally, can they design, select, and evaluate new tools for them? What I love about this model is go starting from the outside to the inside or inside to the outside. If you use the design thinking model, which is placing your users first or your customer first, you would start from the inside and work from the empathetic model of your customer first. So this is the big one though, because we talk about having all this stuff, so cool, we learned about models, hooray, but I know what you're really here for is a toolkit. What can you give to your teachers? What can you take away and utilize right now? When you make anything for AI, I loved what I heard in Ohio when I presented on this, was that they create on their website just an area for the teachers, password protected, or in a Google Drive, and it's just a list of all the tools, and then teacher reflections on the tool. Did they find it useful for this? Was it not useful? What's the link for it? Do you recommend? Do you not recommend? That is a great way to improve the tools being used in your classroom for AI. So the first thing to bring to your attention is Common Sense Media just released this as of like last week, I believe. It is a whole toolkit for school districts, right? But we can change it and apply it for ourselves on thoughtful AI planning, taking you from the policy stage to the implementation phase. That link will take you directly to it. And you can always access this presentation either through Moodle for you all, or if you're online, you can access it by scanning the QR code at the beginning of this video. Next, I highly recommend choosing your language bot. It's easier if you pick one system and really stick with that as your primary use case. A lot of people love Claude. I like ChatGPT more. I do a lot more configuration with it. And Grok, if you're ever needing to build out anything with code, is fantastic for that. Grok also has the latest model because it pulls all of its information and training from X every day, whereas ChatGPT is about 6 months, 7 months behind now in its information. Big thing was role assignment, right? And you'd give out these long instructions on how you want it to respond back to you. That's actually considered dead now. What's happening when you do something this long is it's eating up the number of credits that an AI model can use for you. So the responses that it gives back tend to create more hallucinations because it used up most of its credits early on. Instead, keep it simple. You are an expert, put it in. What are they an expert at? And then add your request. Small, simple, easy enough, and it knows its expectations already. Notebook LM is developed by Google. You can create your own personal AI model using Google now. This is available in Google Education. You can feed it a bunch of documents. This is great if you're doing a specific topic or if you have a specific class. Feed it all the documents you need. I think you have up to 50. It will train itself off that, and then you have a conversational chatbot. It's called a small language model, or an SLM. Very useful for that. Content checkers. GPT-0 is the one I like, but this is where I have to say, do not use content checkers to get kids in trouble. I have to say this because it is very easy. If they are an excellent writer, it will actually be a false flag and show up as AI. All a content checker should be used for is a conversation starter. Hey, looking at your paper, something seems a little off. I ran it through this content checker. It's coming back as 60% AI. Can we discuss this a little more? Usually kids, they'll break down. And if they don't, well, you can dig deeper into it. There's tools for that, especially for Chromebooks. Transcription services. Everyone has their favorite. I really like Fireflies. I like that it gives me sentiment analysis. Did my conversation sound like it went well? Did I have a lot more positive? Was it neutral? Was it negative? I can search through the transcript, play back that exact spot in the transcript. A lot of cool stuff with it. That's the one I recommend, but I know there's one like Otter, and anyone else have another one? Yeah, all right. This is a good one, Grantable. This one's still kind of in development. What this does is it takes what you've written for your grant, and it's been trained on highly successful grants already. It will then give you recommendations of how you can format, how you could reword something. This one, there is a base version that's free and then a paid version. But with all AI things, your paid version really is a lot better. Quizzy, this is a new one I found. I really like this one. Creates micro-credentials for you. So what you do is you feed it a video, YouTube, Vimeo, or one you've uploaded yourself. And then it reads the transcript, and it will build anywhere from 1 to 10 questions for you. You can make your video skippable or unskippable. You can set a completion rate, so you need at least an 80% to get your certificate. You can turn that off. It'll also track all of that, capture emails, names, everything. It's about $4.99 a month for the Plus version. I don't always recommend paid apps. This is one I really like. I've been playing around with it too. If you're interested, you can try a quiz at any point. It's pretty cool, especially when you set it as an unskippable video, because how often do we have videos, we tell people to watch them, and then all of a sudden they didn't watch it. Now you can track that data. Video summarizers, very useful tool. This is called NoteGPT. Feed it a video, gives you a full transcript, gives you a breakdown of key insights, areas you should probably focus on. Great one for teachers, right? I made the mistake my first year teaching of assigning a 40-minute video that I only wanted the kids to watch about the first 10 minutes of, and I only watched the first 10 minutes of. And you know what happened in that video afterwards? A lot of fun language that my sixth graders learned. Something like this is a quick way for teachers to upload the video, scan it, check it, and provide this for the students. Gives them a preface of what they should be looking for, what you can also talk about. School-focused AI, Magic School is the big one. I like Magic School. There's a few things on there that I'm always not very happy with. One of them, and it's a hill I will die on, is email writing. Okay? I have to say this because you get an angry parent email, right? And I've heard suggested before that you take that angry parent email and you put it into a GPT, ChatGPT, maybe Gemini, let it analyze the email, take the key points out, and then let it write a response back. Don't do that, ever. You know why? That parent cares deeply about their child, and they just wrote an angry email because they care about their child. And to put some sort of piece of technology as a barrier between you and that parent, well, that's going to destroy a relationship right there if they find out. Okay? You care about the kids too. And more importantly, it's a lot better to respond back with, I think this would be better discussed in person. And then you can have the face-to-face connection, right? Whereas an email and you let ChatGPT write it, it can create some fun conflict. I die on that hill. Don't use ChatGPT for emails. I do like all their other stuff though, song generator. I like that you can pair this with other stuff, so it takes all the standards and then throw it into another program and then make that work. This is another one. It's cheaper, but it does all the exact same things as Magic School. This is a newer one called EduAid. One of the things I found on it is the game creation. So you can type in the bottom. I know it's hard to see on there. You can type in the bottom what you want, what you're teaching. There's a little enhance button, so it'll actually enhance what you just wrote to give a better prompt to its service. And then from there, like say you want to do maybe an escape room, you click generate, gives you step-by-step instructions on what to do for the escape room. You can tailor it to whatever grade level you want, content standards, everything. And it's only $4.99 a month. So just keep that in mind. Gamma is a neat one. It's a presentation creator. So you could take stuff from Magic School or EduAid or ChatGPT, have those content standards, everything, and tell it, I need a 10-slide presentation, and it'll create it for you. You can tell it to use, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of it, licensed images, so free to use images, or you can tell it can create its own images. What I like about this is how many times as teachers, I know I did this when I was teaching history, of, oh my goodness, we are like not even at World War II and we're ending in 3 weeks. You know, it's a great tool. Kids, we're gonna split off and create a presentation and you guys are gonna teach the class, right? Well, if you need to, have them go through here, check that information, right? So then they're verifying those sources. And then you have 10 slides ready to go that you can throw into PowerPoint because PowerPoint has an AI coaching tool built into it. It will listen to what you say. So for those kids who really struggle, they need that time to practice. It will say how many times you said, how fast did you talk? How slow did you talk? They'll give feedback and they can keep testing themselves on it. It's a great tool to use. If you're like me, fun fact, I hate presenting. Something about standing up in front of people, that's just not in me to do. So having a tool like this where I can run through it a few times so I know what I'm talking about, what it sounds like, get some feedback and analytics for it, that's right up my alley. Now I know for Carrie, he just likes to get up and talk, doesn't he?
You know what I'm thinking of, Will? Is that
Yes.
you're actually just an AI creation.
Yes, I am probably.
Will Van standing out there somewhere.
Don't tell anyone. Scribe, this one, you've probably seen a bunch of ads for it. I do like this tool for step-by-step instructions. So when you're creating step-by-step instructions for parents on how to use any of your online tools, right? Well, now they have the step-by-step guide that was easily created. All you did was clicked around, followed your steps, writes it down as well. Here's another one for the early childhood people, Love Heart. So creating basically those binder narratives of each student. This is an easy way, or a learning story. This is an easy way for the teacher who can write it out, put it in here. It'll enhance it a little bit, add your own images, add your own style to it, but it catalogs it all and it will track it for that student. And then at the end of the year, you can hand that learning story, that journey, learning journey, to the parents. It's a really neat tool for that. That's what I have. Any reactions, comments, questions about AI? Any tools you love? I'm always looking for new tools. No, I did it. I think I did it with some time to spare for lunch, right? All right, on time. Woo.
Get to grab your break.
All right, yeah.
You have imprint up there?
What?
You have imprint up there?
No, I didn't. What's imprint?
Again, all of this is micro learning for the year, but it's online as well.
Oh, neat.
And we do have
Very
coming
neat.
up the marketing and enrollment, which will be a little bit more than half an hour. When we close out, you'll get instructions from Joni and Mel. We'll try to capture that as well, so maybe you can rewatch that because you'll have a lot thrown at you at that time. But it will all be good, and then we'll have a fast close because we got to turn over the room